Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another narrated Pokemon Wi-Fi battle. Now that all the hype of E3 is now over, I figured it'd be a good time to get back into some battles, so today I'm bringing you a never-used match against an opponent by the name of N1doking. Now my opponent, as you can kind of sort of tell maybe, at least I was able to tell when I had this battle, is running a rain team because they have the Volbeat on there to set up the rain with priority prankster. They probably have a Swift Swim seismitoad and also the articuno, which is going to be doing a ton of damage with hurricanes in the rain. Also, Ampharos can make use of thunder, so he's got a lot of really awesome things going on for it in terms of abusing rain in NU. As for me, I brought a pretty fun team that I've been using. I've actually had a lot of success with it. I'm using Elite Seismitoad, Defensive Leafeon, Scarf Primate because that's now in NU, so I figured why not use it. I'm using a specially defensive Minun because I figured why not, because I could. I might talk a little bit more about that as the battle goes on. I'm using a, Quick Feet Ursaring and also a Sub-Disable Haunter, much like Sub-Disable Gengar, except you can't use Focus Blast because Haunter doesn't learn it, so you have to run Hidden Power Fire. Hidden Power Fighting. But I also got a new song I just finished in GarageBand, so I'm kind of interested to see how that's going to sound with the battle in the background. So let's just jump into it right now. So to start things off, I decided to lead off with my Seismitoad as my opponent led off with his Primate. Now, me knowing that I could take any hit from Primate pretty well just because I am a max defense Seismitoad, I decided to stay in, go for Stealth Rock first turn. Knockoff was also an option to potentially knock off its Scarf if I wanted to stay in, or knock off the switch in, but either way, Stealth Rock just seemed like the better option there. But anyways, now my opponent switched out into the Vileplume upon U-turning, so I cannot stay in. I do predict a Sleep Powder here though and go out into my Primeape expecting it to go for that because I do have the Vital Spirit ability. Unfortunately though, he just goes for damage right away going for the Giga Drain, and then I switch out into my Haunter on the following turn knowing I can't stay in to resist either the Giga Drain or the Sludge Bomb. Probably changed up moves going for Sludge Bomb expecting me to maybe go into Leafeon or something, but Haunter resisted both of those, so that seemed like the better option. Meaning that now as it switches out I'm able to freely get up a substitute, and that's going to really help me out because now I'm able to just freely attack this Ampharos from behind a sub as he goes for the Volt Switch. Now that Shadow Ball to me looked like it did very little damage, so I was expecting this to be a max special defense type of Ampharos. I actually don't know if that's what type it is. I don't actually find out, but either way it just seemed like it did way too little as he Volt Switches out into his Primate. But me now expecting a Stone Edge or something like that, I cannot stay in, so I have to switch out, go out into my Seismitoad again since it is physically defensive. Turns out he actually has Punishment on this Primate, which means that he isn't running Ice Punch, which is something to keep in mind for later. But now that I know he has to switch out, I actually go for Knock Off this turn, which is really great because I knock off the Black Sludge on the Vileplume, meaning that it will have a much more difficult time staying in and healing off damage throughout the course of the battle. However, now I do switch out into my Minun since it is specially defensive to take whatever hit from this Vileplume, expecting it to go for a Giga Drain again like it did before, but unfortunately he just goes for the Sleep Powder now, so I guess I was just predicting way too early in the battle as he brings in his Volbeat. Now he sets up Rain immediately, which sucks for me because I now have to deal with all the craziness that comes with Rain and NU, much like what's about to come in, which is the Seismitoad. Obviously, I cannot really take a hit from Seismitoad because it's obviously going to hit me with a super effective ground move. But either way, I was just hoping to wake up, so I went for Protect right there to take the ground move or something like that. Turns out he just sets up Stealth Rock, but it is Swift Swim, so he just has that utility on the Seismitoad anyway. But now I do have to switch out, so I go out into my Leafeon to take whatever hit. I resist both the Earth Power and the Scald or Hydro Pump, whatever water move he has, Surf. But I completely forgot that Seismitoads like to run Sludge Wave to handle grass types. It's not something that I do, so it's something that I just completely forgot about, and that cleanly takes out my Leafeon, which really sucks. But either way, now I just bring in my Haunter to bait him to go for a water move as I switch out into my own Seismitoad to basically kill a turn of Rain. So he does just that. I actually get back up to full because of my Water Absorb ability, and now he has to go for Earth Power here. It's going to do a ton of damage because that is Life Orb, and Seismitoad is pretty powerful with a Life Orb. But me knowing that he is actually Swift Swim, I can easily just go for a Scald. It's Rain boosted, so he's not going to be able to take that at all, or take that well at all. But now he brings out his Articuno, and me expecting the Hurricane, because that's what Articuno does, I'm like, well, this is what I have my Minun for. It's max special defense, so it's going to take this Hurricane extremely well. So I go for it. Hurricane does like 40 damage or something like that, if I remember correctly. Okay, it does a little bit more than that. But either way, I resist it, so that's really nice. And then the rain stops, meaning that if he wants to go for another one at some point in the battle, he has to set up the rain first. But I just go for a wish on this turn. Luckily, I live this Ice Beam with 5 HP, which is really awesome. Now, I know he knows that I have Protect, but I could not risk going for Discharge or something like that, and him just attacking me outright instead of roosting. So I had to go for Protect. It kind of sucks because he did get back up a ton of HP on that turn. But either way, my Minun is going to live to see another day, except for the fact that he actually packs Hidden Power Ground on this Articuno. Now that does take me out, but in all honesty, if that crit did not happen, I would have lived it, since Hidden Power Ground is only 5 more base power than a stab Ice Beam. So that's just something to keep in mind. But either way, I lose my Minun here. I'm able to freely bring in my Ursaring now, go for Protect, get my Toxic Orb up, meaning that I am now faster than this Articuno, and I'm able to cleanly take it out with a Facade, because Ursaring is a Pokemon you just do not mess around with. But either way, he brings in Primeape right here, and I kind of have to make a choice here. I wanted to predict the punishment, maybe he would have went for it, but either way, he actually just tries to kill my Ursaring outright, and I do go into my Haunter expecting the close combat, which worked out really well for me, because now I'm able to just Shadow Ball in the following turn. It does a good amount of damage to this Ampharos, but because of the damage it took before and the Stealth Rock damage, I'm able to actually 2-hit KO it from that range, which is really great for me. So now, upon this Ampharos dying, he brings in his Volbeat. I was kind of expecting Thunder Wave, but I figured it's not that big of a deal, so I just decided to leave my Haunter, and maybe it wanted to just go for Rain Dance first, and I could have got up a free sub. But either way, he paralyzes me, and then on the following turn he Encores me, which means I'm Encored into Substitute, which honestly isn't that bad because of the fact that I'm Encored onto a move that's keeping me safe. So even though it sucks that I have to keep going for it, I'm not really losing anything in this respect. So he does a U-turn out there going into his Primeape, and I'm just going to keep subbing because I honestly have no reason to switch. He's also locked in on Punishment, which is possibly the worst possible move for him to be locked in on, because I could just switch out into anything and it won't do that much damage to any of my Pokemon, so I could get a free attack on the next Pokemon that comes in. But either way, I decided to stay in and keep subbing just because I wanted to get off one attack on it. I ended up actually not getting paralyzed that turn, which is really good for me. I got off some really solid damage with that Shadow Ball, and now I actually can switch out pretty easily, go out into my own Primeape knowing that I will resist the punishment, which is really good because now he has to switch and I can just U-turn on whatever he switches into, giving me switch initiative on the following turn, which is really fantastic for me. So I decide to do that, as I just said. I don't quite kill this Volbeat, but it's not that big of a deal because I have my Ursaring. It can't paralyze me because I'm already poisoned, so that's really great. So this is just basically a free kill for me, which is really cool. Do take a little bit of Toxic Orb damage, but it's not that big of a deal. He does go into his Vileplume here, though, and I'm like, well, I could probably kill it from this range, but I actually underestimate Vileplume's defense. It's a very defensive Pokemon, very underrated, I think, but it actually lives this Facade, which kind of sucks for me, but I am able to freely bring in my Primeape on the following turn and go for the Ice Punch, which is able to cleanly take this thing out. Now, this is why I actually have Ice Punch over Punishment on mine, because I don't really think Punishment's that great of a move, honestly. But either way, I just stay in here. He actually wins the speed tie. We're both Jolly Scarfed, I'm assuming, but it doesn't matter because he had 3 moves to go for there, or 4 moves, but either way I would resist one of them. So he picked Close Combat and realized, well, I can't really hit Haunter, so I lose the match. If he went for Stone Edge, I could have just brought in my Seismitoad and resisted it and then killed it. If he went for U-turn, I could have brought in Haunter, resisted it, and killed it. If he went for Punishment, I could have just brought in Seismitoad. So either way, he was kind of screwed at the end of the match, so he had to forfeit there and just locked himself into whatever he felt like. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this battle. It was a pretty fun one, I'm not gonna lie, and it's not very common that you come across a rain team that works as effectively as my opponents did in NU. So it was really great to see that, and something that I really enjoyed playing against, because it's something that I feel like I should get more experience with, and also maybe even try out for myself at one point, who knows. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the battle, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, hope you liked my new song. Tell me what you thought about it. I'll put a link to download it in the description if you would like to. It's called Meteor Shower. I don't know, it just sounded kind of cool. But anyways, that is it for this battle, everyone. So as always, thank you for watching, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.